Still upset? Still reeling from the Better Call Saul mid-season finale? Well, I don't blame you, because it's hard to take in everything that we just seen. Yet, I believe they did give away a whole lot of evidence pointing to where this show is going to end up for Saul. Or should I say, Gene. What's happening in the Gene scenes? In this video, I will break down every Gene scene that they have shown us and tell you exactly what it means for the ending of this show. We will break down the phone call, the diamonds, the taxi driver, and the last one that we just got. We will call it the happy ending, for lack of a better term. Does he live? Does he die? How does Kim come into play? They laid it all out for you, and I'm going to explain and tell you everything that you missed so that you know exactly how it's going to end. What up to my thugs, nerds, freaks, and geeks? You're now rocking with the best of Don Tony Teflon. Do me a favor, please subscribe and click that bell so you can be notified every time I drop a new video. Also, 500 is the like goal. If this video hits 500 likes, I will give a subscriber who leaves a comment on this video a $25 Amazon gift card. The winner of the last $25 Amazon gift card is Jasmine Duds. Thank you very much for subscribing and watching the video. Please contact me, Teflon TV, on Facebook so I can send it right to you. The first Gene scene we'll focus on, I'll call the box. We see him with this box of important treasures to his past. Most importantly, the one that stands out the most is the Band-Aid box in the left-hand corner, and we'll get right back to that. Also inside this box is a VCR tape. So he grabs the VCR tape. We see him go to his VCR player. He puts the VCR tape in it, and what it is a commercial for his old life, for who he used to be. And that's what we see him in here that he's upset about. He's upset that he's not living the life that he used to live, and he's stuck in this life right here. But it's truly not that that's important. What it is what they play while he's watching that video that's important.
I'm Saul Goodman, attorney at law. I investigate, advocate, persuade, and most importantly, win. You cornered Better Call Saul.
The word you hear them stress is win. So he feels he did not win. Whatever happens to him is not the way he wanted it to happen. He feels that he lost this time, and he's upset with himself that he did not win because he's used to winning. Number 2, we'll call it the lockout. This is when we see him working for Cinnabon, and he gets locked out of the store by going outside and the door just closing on him. This clip is used to explain the first clip, why he feels like he did not win, why he's not a winner, because he's working for this shitty job in this shitty ass mall. But what we learn from this clip is he does have a way out if he wants it, but he chooses not to take it. Why? Because the sign says emergency use only. If you touch it, the cops will be called. So we know right here that he is on the lam from the police. He escaped the police. They're the ones who are after him, and that's why he's willing to sit there so that they will not be notified. But when he leaves and you see his coworker opens up the door, you see that he puts inside there SG was here, meaning that he doesn't even want to go back to his original life, his real life. He wants to go back to the time when he was Saul Goodman. That's who he identifies as, not who he truly is. Number 3, we'll call it the shoplifter. In this scene, he's out eating lunch, and we see a shoplifter drop something right in front of him, and then he goes inside a photo booth to try to hide. But while he's doing that, the cop finds him and arrests him for shoplifting. He just gets up and screams, "Don't say nothing, get a lawyer." The cop calls him an asshole because he's just stuck in that mode. He wishes he could be Saul again, and that's what he's showing right here. The next clip we see we can call the pass out. While he's working, he passes out and is taken to the hospital. But when we focus on the first picture that we see what appears to be a son behind him. If you look at the band beneath it, it looks like that could be considered an horizon. So, is the sun rising or is the sun setting? The fact that they showed him pass right out, I think it's meant to say that the sun is setting, but not on Saul, on Gene. Next, we catch up on him in the hospital. The doctor tells him that all the test results look fine, so this most likely was brought on by stress and the stress of this lifestyle that he's having to hide. And then he gets checked out. Fake identity doesn't go through the first time, but it does the second, so he's safe. This leads us to the most interesting scene, the cab driver. We can see right off the bat that the guy does have Albuquerque inside of his car, so he is definitely from that area. As he picks him up, he can see him while he's in the back staring at him through the mirror, staring straight at him directly. And he feels it from this point right here that he has been made, that this guy recognized exactly who he was. The next scene we'll call the escape. We see him shredding all the documents that he could shred at this particular time, trying to get rid of all the evidence. We see him pack his suitcase. We see he has a suitcase full of cash, and we see that he says one specific thing here, which to him seems to be the most important thing out of everything else that he's doing.
You're gonna be November 12th at 3 p.m.
I'll be there, but if it doesn't ring at 3 on the dot, I'm gone.
Don't worry.
So since we know that this date is his birthday, a big birthday for him, his 50th, I do believe, that we know that there's only one person that he's going to want to hear from at this time, and that is the love of his life, Kim, which means that Kim is still alive, that she does not die. She makes it out somehow. Whether she's in jail or whether she's on the lam is still to be determined. So she's going to play mediator, most likely on a 3-way call, because it's either going to be monitored most likely by the police or if they're hunted by somebody else. That's what it's going to be, and that's why she has to play this part. Now, after that, we see him call the number so he can be extracted, so he can get out safely, and that's how this scene ends. Now, we're going to break down everything inside the shoebox and what it all means in a moment. Next scene we'll call the diamonds. Where did he get these diamonds? How long has he had these diamonds? I've seen a lot of people speculate what this is, and I'll tell you exactly what it truly is right now. We see him pouring these diamonds out of the Band-Aid tin. Where did we see the Band-Aid tin before? We've seen him have this inside of the shoebox. The shoebox is his bug out bag, for lack of a better term. When shit hits the fan, grab this box and you can start a new life. So what's inside of it? Number one is the Band-Aid tin. Now, we have seen this Band-Aid tin in these flash forwards, but we also have to remember this Band-Aid tin, we've seen it in flashbacks. This is where he used to store coins inside of it, but we see him pouring diamonds out of it now. We also seen him in that bag have a big bag lump sum of money. That lump sum of money most likely is too cumbersome to carry around. So what happened here is, I don't believe he left with the diamonds, but he changed this money over into diamonds so that he can carry it around easier. So what else is in this shoebox? We see the VCR tape, which has his TV commercials on it. We've seen the Band-Aid box, which we just discussed. We've seen a couple of passports. We've seen a postcard that says, delivering milk to the creamery. We also see photos developed at 157 Middle Street in Portland, Maine, gift shop. One of the passports could mean that he has money stashed overseas. This could be a backup plan if he has to skip the country. After this, we see him calling out of work and asking specifically, has anybody been looking for him? And this is to do 100% about the taxi cab driver that he thinks is onto him. Number 7 is the cab driver part 2, who just shows up at his job and confronts him and says, I know who you are, makes him go through the motions of his commercial, and then tells him he's going to see him again. After this, He really thinks he's made, so he calls to try to get an extraction from the vacuum cleaner person. He tells him how much it's going to be, but then he says, no, I'll handle it myself. Now, the cab driver's name is Jeff, who at one point lived in Albuquerque with his ex-girlfriend. At this time is when he became a huge fan, he claims, often seeing his ads on the television set. If he is on the lam from the cops, which we believe he 100% is, then there's a good chance that he could have seen this on the television set, that he's a wanted fugitive. It then showed Gene specifically look directly at the police officers right there. So that is why he goes along with his little charades, because he sees the cops right there, so he has no choice but to play along. But the one thing I will say is, why did Jeff bring a friend with him? The fact that he brought a friend means he has no intention of going to the police, that he wants to extort him for money. This whole scene reminds me of one scene that I've seen in one of the greatest shows that it was ever on television, and that is Sopranos. When Tony brings his daughter Meadow to college, he just happens to run into a guy, Fabian, who's in police protection hiding because he ratted on the mafia. During this time, Fabian gets wind that Tony's there. He gets nervous. He starts asking questions about him being asked about, if anyone's asking about him and stuff, until eventually Tony does catch up with him and strangle him to death. This would be the exact reverse of the situation, because in that show, Tony was the star and the cab driver is not the star here. So it would be the same thing, but exactly reversed. It would be Saul or Gene, whatever you want to call him at this particular time, doing the hit instead of being hit like it was in The Sopranos. Remember, Saul was expected to get that phone call from Kim when he turned 50. 50 is the exact same age Walter White was when he started his life of crime.
So, after all that, a happy ending.
The final scene we'll call the happy ending scene, which you can clearly hear from his voice is not a happy ending for himself. In fact, you can hear him pause after he says, after all that. He sighs.
So, after all that,
you can also hear his voice crack when he says, after all of that. Basically saying, after all that I've been through, after everything that has happened. And the only words he has after that is
a happy ending.
The only way to fully determine exactly what's going on when he says this is what happens to Kim. Does she get bagged up, or does she get away also? In my last video, I explained how Kim gets away. Please check that video out. Link will be in the description and it'll be at the end of these cards. Clearly, we can tell from the sound of his voice that this is not a happy ending. It's not going to end with him and Kim together skating off somewhere. All of the flash forward scenes we've seen with him as Gene are in black and white. They show this scene in black and white. Why? Because he's never going to recapture that moment after he becomes Gene. He's never going to be able to go back to the time that he was in this place with his woman, and that is gone from him. That would have been his happy ending, but he has not received that. Always remember that things always have to come back full circle. He was known as a con man. That's how he started. Usually what happens to con men is that they get conned in the end. Who would be the one to pull the wool over his eyes? Sometimes it's people who you don't think are as smart as you, so that would put the cab driver into play, but most likely that would be somebody that he cares the most about, and that would be Kim in my book. But you tell me what you think in the comment section. How does it end for them? And if you like the way I do this, please thumbs up this, spread this across the realm, and as always, subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy.